Hi there! It's Jenny from Quick Anime Recap. And today we're recapping a comedy romance anime named Love Lab. So sit tight and enjoy the video. The anime opens with, some schoolgirls are on their way to the prestigious Fujisaki Girls Academy. While there, a tomboy girl named Riko Kurahashi saves two girls from a football kicked by a boy who is trying to flirt with them, and the girls are left marveling at her gruff wild exterior, which is in contrast to the other girls at the academy. That day, Riko is reluctantly tasked with delivering papers to the student council room and finds that she desires excitement at the rather dull academy. When Riko arrives at the room, she shockingly discovers the student council president, Natsuo Maki, kissing a Dakamakura pillow. An embarrassed Natsuo begins panicking, but after a brief exchange of words, Riko promises to keep her secret and winds up in a strange situation, where she has to simulate a scene involving meeting a guy for the first time with Natsuo. And when asked about her love experience, Riko lied by saying she is an expert on love, even though she had only been rejected her entire life. The next day, Riko shockingly finds herself recruited to the student council by Natsuo as a cover to help her practice her relationship fantasies, much to Riko's dismay. And she is once again dragged into a simulation, where Natsuo requests they try hold hands like a couple would do. But she tries to be mischievous and break her hand just to act cuter. After teaching Natsuo a lesson, Riko is forced to come again tomorrow when Natsuo asks her to describe the feeling when she first held hand with a boy. The very next day, while pondering on all of the duties Natsuo is tasked with fulfilling, Riko feels as though she should offer aid with the workload. However, Natsuo explains that her efficiency caused the previous student council president to resign, as well as explaining the strange traits of the two other members. Riko teasingly states that guys tend to avoid perfectly efficient girls, which prompts Natsuo to knowingly switch some important documents with her love learning reports, and hence yielding her a severe scolding from Riko. Afterwards, Natsuo continues with her love lessons, but constantly finds herself pulled into unlikely romantic fantasies as frowned upon by Riko. Continue on to the next day. While continuing their love lessons, a girl finds her way into the council room and timidly runs off before Riko can question her, while Natsuo is pulled into another one of her fantasies. A flashback is shown, where the timid girl named Suzuna Tanahashi tries to hide when Natsuo and Riko begin a carefree exchange in the council room, destroying her image of Natsuo in the process, and flees despite Riko attempting to stop her. 2 days later, Natsuo starts feeling hurt after thinking that Suzuna disdains her due to her behavior, while Suzuna herself starts regretting she ran away. Attempting to mend the situation, Riko confronts Suzuna and suggests that she clear things up with Natsuo after learning that both girls think that the other hates them. After school, Suzuna makes her way to the council room and decides to do some cleaning while she waits for Riko and Natsuo, but finding herself succumbing to her clumsiness just as the girls arrive. To which, Natsuo takes that as inspiration and starts coming up with fantasies involving clumsiness, all of which are shot down by Riko. Afterwards, Natsuo and Suzuna clear the air while the former expresses interest in the love lessons, while both girls simultaneously decide to refrain from lying, causing Riko to feel uncomfortable since she lied about having boyfriends to Natsuo. Cutting to the next day, while the girls go through scenarios involving being carried by a guy, unbeknownst to them, another girl eavesdrops on their exchange. And shortly after that, Riko and Natsuo start receiving harassment messages from the previous council president, Yuko Inomoto, and former treasurer, Sayori Mizushima, who conspire to blackmail Riko and Natsuo so that they can obtain their original council positions. As Natsuo and Riko realize who the messages originate from, Sayori startles them and starts inquiring about Natsuo's pillow, but they end up spinning a web of lies which Sayori seems to buy, much to Riko's suspicion. Sayori later meets up with Yuko and states that she declared war on Riko and Natsuo, much to Yuko's shock. While on her way to school, Riko remains bothered by Sayori's words, and she explains to Natsuo that their love lessons will have to be put on hiatus until Sayori's harassment stops. Meanwhile, Yuko and Sayori sneak into the council room and discover Natsuo's documents on love lessons. And later that day, Natsuo collapses in exhaustion from overwork, while Yuko devises a devious plan to use the love documents at the next council meeting. Realizing there is only one way to help out, Riko tries to convince Sayori to rejoin the council, although she states that she'll only return if Yuko is reinstated as the president, something which Riko denies. Sayori then goes on to explain Yuko's traits and suggests she will be a better president than Natsuo, until Yuko herself abruptly enters the discussion and explains that she only wished for Natsuo to rely on her more before storming off, with Sayori lamenting on Yuko's indecisiveness. Afterwards, Riko relays the information back to Natsuo and realizes that she and Yuko both want the other to rely on each other, but keep letting their pride get in the way of their feelings. Elsewhere, another teacher mixes up the love documents with the committee documents, and Yuko mistakenly grabs the wrong pile after deciding not to follow through with her plan. And so the next day at the meeting, the love documents are discovered by all the members, and they assume Natsuo had been behind those sort of lessons. In that moment, Yuko and Sayori enter the room, and Riko shifts the blame to Yuko since she is still technically the president of the club, which everyone seems to believe is plausible. Seeing Natsuo becomes upset by the members' disdain, Riko starts defending her along with the love-learning notion, although Sayori brilliantly comes up with a cover story by claiming that they were only researching the matter because of a note they received in the suggestion box. Finally, at the end of the meeting, the student council members officially apologize to each other. And in apology for what they did, Yuko and Sayori will return to the council as vice president and treasurer, which Natsuo is happy to have more members joining their love research. Meanwhile, outside the room, a girl drops a note into the suggestion box and runs off. With the relationship of the student council members finally repaired, Yuko and Sayori join Riko and Natsuo in their love lessons. As the lessons continue, Natsuo comes up with a new scenario for meeting a guy, while hailing Riko as the teacher of their group. When Yuko and Sayori question why she is the teacher, they learn that she has past relationship experience, shocking Riko that her lie is growing even larger, while silently Sayori doesn't seem to believe it. The next day, the girls discuss how to attract guys by changing their hairstyles, and Riko laments to herself that her own short hair hadn't done much for her on that front. After that, Natsuo reports that they had received an anonymous note in the suggestion box from a girl asking for help on buying a present for a guy she loves. And to further her lies of being a love expert, Riko agrees to ask some guys on their preferences, before she realizes that she can just obtain the information from magazines. Although, Sayori continues to pressure Riko, even giving her a camera to take pictures of the guys she will ask. Yuko then starts teasing Natsuo about the lingerie incident that she is really embarrassed about, prompting Yuko and Sayori to reveal to Riko and Suzuna that Natsuo's family owns a lingerie company, and her father had made a rather embarrassing promotional video and even named a training bra after her. After that embarrassing moment is over, Riko decides to take cram school and ask her past schoolmates about their preferences. As Sayori continues to pressure Riko, Suzuna calls Sayori on her behavior, causing her to back off, while silently admitting that it would be better if Riko had just confessed the lie. The next day, Riko returns with the results from her fellow cram school friends, and the girls find that guys' preferences aren't what they had envisioned. Although, a new problem arises. How do they let the anonymous girl know the answer to her question, without them knowing who she is? To which Riko comes up with an idea of using their school's break time announcement system to do it. Thanks for watching the video. Still want to watch more anime recap? Click the video on the screen to watch more. And don't forget to subscribe to catch the latest upload.